Look, the no call is ridiculous. And so I'll start there. And the explanation that I think I saw it from Razor first about not calling the penalty on the ice and then reviewing it and not being able to call it in review, and that being one reason. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, if they're looking at it as if they don't want to set a precedent or something with how they're going to call something, like, it was just the wrong call. And it obviously had a very clear impact on the momentum of the game. I know not everyone believes in momentum, but the way that that game was going, I think it was really the pivotal point. I say all that. I still don't think it's the reason, like the primary reason that the team is where they are, being down 3-1 to the Panthers. I don't think you can blame it all on officiating, and I don't think it's the primary reason, but they certainly got it wrong. And I do think that this is one rare case in which, like you, Jones, I hate when people sit there and complain about the refs and bitch and bitch and bitch, but this was really pretty egregious, in my opinion, Arcan.
I think it was a ridiculous no call. I think that this series has now had the worst goalie interference call I've ever seen on Lauco the other night, and now the worst goalie interference non-call I've ever seen last night, which was just, I mean, there was a linesman right there looking right at everything, the entire scrum taking place there in the crease, and you don't call it. You don't call any part of it. The cross-check, the interfere, like nothing. Nothing got called there. And on a night where it seems like everybody, the refs are just letting them play, I'd maybe be able to tolerate that, but there were 10 whistles in that game. There were a ton of power plays. They weren't just letting them play. They were stopping action every few minutes, it seemed like, once you got into that second period. So to me, I don't understand how you could come up with that. Fluto on TV last night said that that's not the case. What you were just sort of getting at, Mego, that they had to call a penalty in order to say no goal. He said they could have done that anyway. And I don't know. I didn't read the rule book, but that's what Fluto said.
That's what the broadcasters were saying too.
Well, no, only one of them. That was that.
One of them was
that dumb play-by-play guy. I don't even know his name. It wasn't Darren Pang. Brendan Burke, thank you. The dumb play-by-play guy who was clueless up there last night because he was wrong. And Darren Pang was all over it right away. We just played the clip for you. But he's like, oh, the second they saw the replays, like it's cross-check in the back, they're going to overturn this. And look, you have every reason to cry about that call. Now, the larger discussion that Mego wants to get into, and we'll get into here coming up, I'm not going to go that far. That, like, the refs have it out for you, or the Bruins would have won if not for that call. But you have every right to cry about that call. Here is the rule book, Arcade. If a defending player, this is Rule 69, by the way.
Nice.
It can be read both ways.
And it wasn't nice last night, but it's nice.
They're making a mockery of it. They are disrespecting Rule 69, and quite frankly, I think it's disgusting.
Yeah,
what example are you setting for the youth of Hockey America disrespecting Rule 69?
Mm-hmm. All I know is it can be read multiple ways, is all I know about Rule 69. If a defending player has been pushed, shoved, or fouled by an attacking player so as to cause the defending player to come into contact with his own goalkeeper, such contact will be deemed contact initiated by the attacking player for purposes of this rule, and if necessary, a penalty assessed to the attacking player. And if a goal is scored, it would be disallowed. So you can disallow the goal. You can call a penalty if you want. You can do all of those things. That is the rule. And obviously, Sam Bennett cross-check Coyle into Swayman. Now, we can debate if Swayman would have made the save anyway. We'll play you some audio from the villain himself, Sam Bennett, Yosemite Sam. You'll hear from him coming up in a moment that he thinks no matter what, Swayman wouldn't have made the save. The contact was irrelevant. That's what the league deemed. The league deemed that the contact didn't prevent Swayman from coming over and making a play, which I think is absurd. I think is ridiculous. I think Swayman was impeded by Coyle. I think Bennett gained an advantage by knocking Coyle down. Who knows if Coyle's up on his skates, if the puck even gets to Bennett in the first place.
That's what Coyle said. He's like, I could have cleared it. Yeah.
And so, to me, I think that was obviously a terrible call. And I think the Bruins have had some bang-bang calls go against them. And so I'll hear you out on that. You want to cry about it? Go for it. The Bruins don't want to do that. Montgomery doesn't want to do it. Don Sweeney, who will play for you later on this hour, doesn't want to do it. If you need a place to yell and kick and scream and cry about the officials, come do it. 617-779-7937. This is it's a rare occasion, Bill, where I'm not going to turn away people crying about the refs for that call last night. But this is where I jump off board with you. If you want to say the reason they're down is the officials. Mego, you already answered this, but our big question of the day up now at Jones and Mego, what's the Bruins' biggest issue this weekend? Florida's better or the officiating? To me, how can you possibly, with a straight face, vote for the officiating? That's their biggest horrible call last night. It was still 2-2. It was still 2-2 after that horrible call. And I think Florida already had momentum. I hear what you said earlier, Mego. They got the momentum after that and really opened things up. They already had the momentum on a bad goal given up by Swayman, the Lundell goal with 5 and change or whatever it was, left at the end of the second period. So Florida, I think, had already started to turn the game around. The Bruins kept taking bad penalties. Ironically, none called against Florida on the other side. And the team had 2 shots on goal in the third period. 2! They were outshot again, 41-18 last night, which is ridiculous. Shot attempts last night, 79-42. Shots on net, 41-18 or 42-18. They might have adjusted that. Scoring chances in favor of the Panthers. High danger chances in favor of the Panthers. Same thing with this whole series. The Bruins have been outshot. Total shots, 303-174. Shots on goal, 147-79. They're getting outplayed by the better team. And I'll tell you, I'll pat myself on the back for this. In game 1, the Bruins won 5-1, and I said they got outplayed. They got outplayed by Florida. They have to turn it around. And so far, they haven't. That third period was maddening. Beyond just the call, or no call, against Sam Bennett, they wouldn't shoot. Arcade, I think you referenced this, or maybe it's you, Mego. That Lorai play, where they're established in the offense, you're set up in the offensive zone. It's a delayed penalty. You're going to get a 6th skater, and Lorai just skates towards his own net. And they can't get back in the zone, and they never do anything on that power play, was maddening. So the officials were bad. Fine. How's your team playing? Not well.
I go to this, and I said this to you guys earlier this morning, they're just not good enough. Florida is just better, and they can't seem to sustain the level of play that they need in order to get over Florida. I say that the way that they came out in the first period was great. I mean, obviously you still want more shots on net, but at least they were creating opportunities and they were super physical. I hated Pasternak's stupid high hit. That was really dumb, but then he scored afterwards, so I can't really be mad for that long. I was like, oh, okay, well, if he's going to go and do that and that gets him locked in.
He's got a taste for blood now. He just wants to go punch people.
Exactly. I was like, okay, I can't really get mad at that. It still wasn't smart, but it looked like they were in a stall in the third period. It looked like they were in a stall. They were the ones that had the lead and were trying to hold on to it by any means necessary.
You mean they were stalling, not in a bathroom stall?
No,
they were stalling,
in a
yes.
stall. Yeah, that they were stalling the game. And so it's frustrating the way that it looks like overall their offense, with the exception of game 1. And again, in this series after game 1, I sounded like a little bitch coming on the air saying, well, I wish it was DeBrusk not scoring on an open net, and I wish it was Pastrnak and Marchand generating some of this play instead of, a group of young randos out there. And now look, you can't depend on young randos to come through and produce for you on offense every night in a playoff series. They're just not there yet. And look, Marchand's out. Okay, you could say that that's related back to the officiating or, poor officiating too. Either way, you just don't have the offensive firepower. You can do it for a period. Maybe you can do it for a period and a half. Maybe young randos can show up for one game, but you can't sustain it. You can't even, on your defensive end, you can't even get it out of the zone by the time you're in the third period because everybody looks so gassed and overpowered by the Panthers. And I don't want to sound like it's totally hopeless, but it kind of has felt that way this entire weekend.
It feels pretty hopeless. Arcan, what's their issue? Florida's better or the refs?
Florida, I'm going to preface this by saying Florida is better than them. I think that's clear. I think that's obvious. The biggest issue for them on the weekend, I think, was the officiating. I honestly do. I'm not. It's clear that Florida's the better team, but I think that Toronto was talent-wise a better team than the Bruins too. They had these same sort of problems with them, and they, as you said, Jones, got outplayed by Florida in Game 1 and still beat them 5-1. The reason why I don't think Florida being better is the biggest issue is because they have great goaltending play, and they got it again last night. I thought Swayman had another pretty good game. Maybe not his best, but he's been very good, I think, in some during the series, and it's not been the difference for them. The difference, I think, is that Bennett took out your captain, was not penalized for it, so he wasn't there for that game yesterday, a game that you led 2-0 in, and maybe could have won, taken to overtime at the very least, if another terrible call didn't lead to another goal. So, yeah, Florida's better. I'm not going to dispute that. But the officiating, I think, has been the difference. I think that's been the difference because the Bruins can win a series when the other team may be better. They showed that already, and I think they showed that in Game 1 of this series. But if the officials are going to be this slanted, and I mean, listen, I'm with you. I don't like making excuses like this.
Oh, you are.
But the whistles are what they are. I don't like that I have to do this, but the whistles are what they are. The Florida's getting way more power plays than the Bruins are, and some of these big missed calls have just been egregious to everybody, to the national audience.
The only one who gets called on interference.
I mean, really, it's been very noticeable to, I think, everybody, not just Bruins fans, not just whiny Bruins fans. Everyone is looking at this series and saying, "What the bleep is going on here?"
Okay.
So that's why I think that's the difference.
Do you have a problem with them missing the Marchand or the Bennett punching Marchand in real time?
Yes, because
missing that in real time, you have a problem with?
Well, okay, how they only have this one camera angle that comes out 3 days later?
The refs on the ice in real time. Do you have a problem with them missing that?
I guess not.
Me neither.
But the fact that now all this time later, they finally have this clear angle of it. I mean, where'd that come from?
Look, Bennett, I'm with you on that. I'm asking him real time.
In real time,
In real time. And if you're unfamiliar with this, we're talking about Game 3, where Bennett knocks out Marchand. He's gone with a concussion. Scoops Keefe is reporting he's going to miss Game 5 as well. And Bennett knocks him right in the chin. And he's knocked out, ice cold. And Bennett knew what he was doing. And so if you want to make the case Bennett should have been suspended after the fact and you see the replays and everything, they're not going to catch that in real time. It was sneaky. It was Marchand-esque is what it was. It was sneaky. And so I don't have a problem with them missing it in real time. The league looking at it and going, nothing to see here. Oh, we just magically found this alternate angle.
That shows him clearly punching him.
Going right into Game 4, like I saw it on the TBS or TNT pregame, wherever it was last night, is egregious.